The Disney Entertainment Panel went through everything that's coming to Disney live action for the next 300 years. Oh my goodness, there's so much to talk about. Let's go through them very quickly, starting with a movie that was supposed to go to Disney Plus in like 5 days, but now is getting a theatrical release next year. Let's talk about Lilo and Stitch and more here on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here with me is Experiment 628, Mr. VashSky. Vash, are you doing all right today? Are your mischief levels in tune?
I hope they are, but I might have covered Cinderella Castle in toilet paper. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and you've ruined someone's day there, apparently, with that. So obviously we've covered the Disney Entertainment Panel here, but there was so much going on with live action that I just feel like there are things that we could not ignore that we really need to talk about. First of all, the headliner here is Lilo and Stitch, and we're going to go to this tweet by at Jonas J. Campbell here. There he is, Stitch busting out here. We've seen footage from the panel itself, and whatever was going on, they apparently put the Disney Studios logo up there and then had Stitch running through the background before he busted out of that panel logo. And they've just redone the animation here against a different background. But first of all, we have finally a look at what the CGI Stitch looks like. It doesn't look bad. I had several of my kids and my wife look at this and they say it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It is voiced by Chris Sanders, the director of Lilo and Stitch, who voiced Stitch for many years, who is probably never coming back to direct another Disney animated feature ever again, because he is over there at DreamWorks doing things like How to Train Your Dragon. And also he's in charge of The Wild Robot, which we were hearing very good things about DreamWorks' The Wild Robot in the next little while. But Vash, do you know what the big secret about why Lilo and Stitch is getting a theatrical release is?
I could probably guess what that is. Is it because the CGI on Stitch himself is just that good, Jonas? Is that why we're going theatrical with this?
It might be. It might be. Here's a fun fact here from me. Disney was supposed to release this to Disney Plus by the end of this year, but putting it in theaters means that they don't have to answer to shareholders for the expense. Right. There's a lot of scrutiny on the Disney Plus balance sheet right now, to the point where Disney Plus is not profitable. There's a video that you could see on this channel explaining why Disney is hiding the ball there, because they've shifted around a few things here to try to say that combined DTC is profitable, which means it's mostly Hulu and ESPN dragging up the little brother there. And also Hulu's going to cost another $5 billion. Another video on that another time here. But Lilo and Stitch, whether or not it's good, Disney never answers for how profitable their movies are. They just want them as brand deposits in order to revitalize them for use in the parks and with merchandising. And Stitch, I got to tell you, Stitch is a cash cow for the Walt Disney Company. He is a perennial ever since when he came out on the screen. First of all, there's been multiple TV series. He's a character that appeals because he's cute and cuddly, but he's also kind of a bad boy. So he appeals in that safe area of being a bad boy. So I think this is a good idea for them to release this in theaters, not having seen a trailer here. Vash, do you have any thoughts on that?
Lilo and Stitch was one of the bright spots in the post-Renaissance series of animated film, and it makes sense why they would want to go back to that well, so to speak. He was everywhere for a while there, every single park and so forth. I think he's a really big hit, actually, in Tokyo, of all places. Yeah. So
I still haven't seen it, but there is apparently a Japan-only Stitch series that's out there somewhere, like an alternate reality version of Stitch. So I'm interested in seeing that one of these days. Maybe we could review that on the channel sometime. Now, there is, of course, there's the Moana live action movie that was confirmed. Of course, they took the screenwriter off of the Moana live action movie and they moved her to being one of the 3 directors of Moana 2. There's a lot of questions that I have there, whether or not that was like they literally took things out of the Moana live action script and wanted to hand her like a bargaining chip, because I think she wants to be a director of a movie. She's never done animation before. She's never done directing of animation before, I should say. And now she is the director of a Disney animated feature. So questions there. We'll end on the high note here, but until we get to Tron, they announced Monster Jam starring The Rock, which that is fascinating. If that is about the event called Monster Jam, that is a movie about monster trucks, which that would be the most butch thing out of Disney live action in a very long time. Of course, they did show a Snow White live action trailer, which you can see our reactions in another video here. Avatar 3, Fire and Ash. That's going to exist and probably make a lot of money. The sequel to Freaky Friday, titled, transcendent title here, Freakier Friday, starring Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis, fresh off the opening of Borderlands. Less said about that, the better. Percy Jackson is getting a season 2, which, by the way, for those of you who are not aware, Percy Jackson season 2 was the biggest thing on Disney Plus this year. So by Disney's own metrics, that is a big deal. So it outclassed Star Wars, it outclassed Marvel. It is huge on Disney Plus, notwithstanding Bluey. Of the things that Disney makes themselves, Percy Jackson was the biggest thing on Disney Plus. Of course, also Disney Theatrical, and we're circling back to Tron when we button this whole thing up. They announced that Frozen Theatrical, which by that I mean Broadway Theatrical, will be coming to Disney Plus. There's going to be a Descendants versus Zombies tour going across the nation. That should be a big hit. They're going to do a Greatest Showman musical. They reminded people that Lion King, Aladdin, and Beauty and the Beast all exist on Broadway. And they announced that they will be doing Hercules. And they had Hercules come on stage. And all I'm going to say is he wasn't Greek, which is what Hercules is. So they decided to go with alternate representation of that culture, probably because Greek is considered white by the Walt Disney Company. You can go look it up online if you want to find out how not Greek he is. Great singer, though. Very talented actor. It's a little bit more acceptable on Broadway to do that, but read into that what you will. Vash, I want to go to you for this last one here. I really like Tron Legacy, despite the facial animation of Jeff Bridges' Clue character. Do you want to tell us about Tron Ares?
Yes, Tron Ares, a film that has been in development for the longest time, Jonas. I remember when a direct sequel to Tron Legacy, I believe entitled Flynn Lives, or at least that was the production title for it, was going to come out, a couple of years after the first, after Tron Legacy itself, right? And then it took a couple of years, and then it was just about to get to production, and then it didn't obviously make the cut. I believe they canceled it in order to film another Pirates of the Caribbean movie, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's how that worked. Anyway, this thing has been ups and downs for a long time here, and we've gotten our first official look at this. There was a photo that was released, but now we have not only the logo, we have Jeff Bridges actually coming out on stage, and some more images, but we did get a view of a trailer, which wasn't officially released, but it made its way out online. It looks very interesting, to say the least. Apparently, the trailer starts out with Encom.
Encom, that's right. The CEO of Encom was Kevin Flynn, and then it was not, I don't want to say Bruce Boxleitner's character, but they replaced him with some kind of villainous guy in the start of the next one.
Right.
But the spoiler alert here is that this one takes place mostly outside of the grid. The trailer does, at least. And you have not Sam Flynn's character, played by Garrett Hedlund, or Olivia Wilde, but instead you have Jared Leto's character, who I believe is named Ares. I don't know. It doesn't really matter in the long term what the name of that character is, but it's Jared Leto coming out and entering the real world despite being from the grid.
The reason I bring up the Encom statement is because that executive starts out the trailer and says, literally, people are talking about AI, they're talking about new advances in technology and all this. And he says, we're not going there. They're coming to us. And that's the introduction of these beings of the Tron world making its way out into the real world, which was kind of a subplot or a big plot point in the original Tron Legacy. And obviously, Korra made her way out of the grid. So this is very, very interesting. I think there was some also footage of like a light cycle, like sawing a cop car in half, very crazy naturalistic locales, a very new setting for this Tron series to take place in. Looks very interesting. But Jonas, Well, you and I both caught on to one very big aspect of this that they
Right.
officially announced at this event as well.
Yeah. Okay. So again, I love Tron Legacy. I think the visuals are fantastic, even though they are, I would say they're an evolution of the original CGI, obviously early, like vector graphics CGI, where they had to do all of that math by hand and then put it into the computer and spit out those light cycle sequences. I feel like Tron Legacy is a great evolution of that. And it plays on the themes of what someone like Kevin Flynn would do if he was an older person who'd been stuck in the grid, and the music and the tone, it's like halfway melancholic but also epic, and it's Daft Punk, and Daft Punk is so good in Tron Legacy. Obviously they have disbanded since the end of Tron Legacy, which is disappointing. That's another reason that I was disappointed that Tron 3 didn't happen when it happened, because Daft Punk was probably going to provide me the soundtrack to most of my hard work here. I love listening to Tron Legacy. I've written several term papers to the Tron Legacy soundtrack, and of course, Random Access Memories. But no, it is not going to be Daft Punk. It is going to be, Vash, you're more familiar with this band than I am.
It is Nine Inch Nails, which I think they're classified as a new metal band. Let's say their prominence was around the 2000s period there. So
Yeah.
very interesting selection, and it's now Daft Punk, as you know, Jonas was like a musical act, very synth and electronic orientated. Nine Inch Nails is more of a traditional metal band.
I think they're classified as industrial rock. Not, if I define music, like if I say that Daft Punk is synthwave, someone will point out something in there that defies that. I like the fact that Daft Punk is willing to go outside of their style here. Trent Reznor is obviously the frontman of Nine Inch Nails, and they're saying that they brought the entire band back together. I need to get confirmation on that, but there have been a lot of soundtracks that have been done by Trent Reznor, including Social Network, Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, Watchmen, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, The Killers. There have been many soundtracks done by Trent Reznor. So I'm not saying this is a bad choice. I'm just saying I would be a lot happier if it was Daft Punk. And Disney can't move mountains here, but something that is more in the rock style, and the fact that it is not set on the grid, which is my favorite part of the Tron universe, other than when Daft Punk soundtracks it. I don't know. I don't have as much confidence that this is going to go well. Also, Joseph Kosinski, who was the director of Tron Legacy, obviously moved on. He is now working very closely with Tom Cruise. He worked on Oblivion, which was in that Tron style, but a good introduction to Tom Cruise, I'd say. And then he directed a little film called Top Gun Maverick. Yeah. So I don't know, Vash, of this whole situation. First of all, the Tron stuff, and then all of the things that were announced for Disney live action. Would you say they're moving in the right direction here? I'm seeing a focus less on Marvel and live action remakes. I'd say that's good. Do you have any thoughts on this whole slate that has been announced at D23?
The live action slate has always been up and down, and it's mostly down. Not many ups, unfortunately. Those have usually come from like their bigger studios like Lucasfilm or Marvel and so forth. I think Avatar, Fire and Ash, I think is very, very interesting. I think that's the one I'm looking most forward to. Tron Ares, I was holding out hope. Now that I see the footage, now that I kind of see what they're doing, I'm not as interested as was before. But Freaky Friday, that one might be a sleeper hit, Jonas. Don't count that one out.
Well, I
all the
wouldn't
rest.
either. But the budget. See, here's the thing: the Monster Jam movie and Freaky Friday, those have if they keep the budgets in line, those could be more profitable than these huge disaster films like Dial of Destiny, which probably cost more than $350 million to film. And I don't even remember how much that made. I know it got beat out by Sound of Freedom, which was probably made and marketed for less than the marketing budget of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of profit to be made in these live action division films here. Of course, Avatar, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that's probably going to make $1 billion. I know that's a not really a steady ground to stand on here, but those Avatar films, I think that James Cameron might have something when it comes to box office. That being said, of all of this slate, what do you all in the comment section think about all of this? Are you looking forward to a monster truck movie starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Moana in live action, Lilo and Stitch? I would love to hear your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. Or are you one of the many people who are a Percy Jackson fan and were pleased that Percy Jackson got a season 2, despite the fact that Disney didn't do a very good job of promoting that one? I don't know. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Of course, like this video if you like this video, and consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.